No one had ever seen anything like him.
He became like a legend, like a hero.
A modern-day Robin Hood hit banks across Israel.
He wanted the adrenaline, he wanted the rush. He was very successful.
Robbing a bank, it's like being with a woman, right? It's like having the night of your life.
Find out how he did it next on Masterminds. In 1989, Israel was hit by an extraordinary spree of bank robberies. Police were helpless against this unprecedented crime wave.
In the beginning, he was robbing a bank once every few months.
Witnesses all described the same suspect, a big man who stormed banks wielding a gun and wearing a motorcycle helmet.
His face was hid by the helmet when he entered the bank. Kept the visor down, he knew his face would not be recognized afterwards.
He got people's attention with a single shot from his walnut-handled Smith & Wesson.
People got scared, they gave the money more easily, there was no hesitation.
Then eyewitnesses reported that the thief walked calmly out of the bank.
Surveillance tapes of the robberies revealed no useful information.
We were frustrated when we investigated the crime scenes. We looked for fingerprints, footprints, hair follicles.
But the only real evidence police recovered were the bullets in the ceiling. Ballistics confirmed they were all fired from the same gun. Then, after numerous strikes, authorities finally got a break in the case.
A witness confirmed that the robbery was committed by someone driving a motorcycle, not just wearing a helmet.
That was very practical. With a motorcycle, you may disappear in few seconds.
I went to all the banks that were robbed and obtained their account transactions leading up to the robbery. Then I cross-referenced those names with motorcycle owners and registered gun owners.
But these efforts got police nowhere, and the spree continued.
It seemed like he was striking almost every day, and each time a different region.
With the country suffering crushing inflation and house repossessions at an all-time high, the Motorcycle Bandit struck a chord with the public.
People were furious about the banks because the economic situation was very bad.
And so the myth started as if he were some kind of Robin Hood, robbing banks on behalf of the regular people.
He making fun of the police, he making fun of the government, and people started to like it.
Became a very big story in the media. People almost expected to see him. You'd go into a bank and look around. Maybe the Motorcycle Bandit is coming today.
Stunned by the robber's sudden popularity, authorities ramped up their efforts to catch him. After each hit, they stopped motorcycles for miles around.
Every motorcycle in Israel had a bumper sticker, "I am not the robber," because the police has stopped everyone with two wheels.
This was the point where they were having police helicopters searching around after bank robberies.
We were trying to figure out how he was operating, and we were laying different traps to catch him. But we didn't have a clue who he was.
Police assumed the Motorcycle Bandit was a hardened criminal, but Israel's most wanted man was actually the privileged son of one of the country's wealthiest families.
It was so strange. It was like, I've got another life. I was robbing banks with a motorcycle. It worked perfectly. It worked great. It worked fantastic.
Over the course of 18 months, Ronnie Leibovitz hit 22 banks, made millions, and eluded the biggest manhunt in Israel's history. Born and raised in Tel Aviv, Ronnie Leibovitz was destined for a life of wealth and privilege.
Ronnie's family was a very well-known family in Israel, considered very rich, very well off.
The Leibovitz fortune was made in olive oil during the 40s and 50s by Ronnie's grandfather.
He was a very impressive figure, and he was sort of my hero back then. I mean, I took a lot from him.
But when his grandfather dies, a power struggle erupts.
All hell broke loose.
There was a lot of fighting in the family about the will, and they turned against Ronnie.
Leibovitz finds himself frozen out of the inheritance.
He was very angry. He felt betrayed.
So I disconnected all my ties with the family, including, I regret very much to say, with my father, my mother.
And then Ronnie felt that he has to do something to scream out.
I was under a lot of pressure, and it was like a big lump in my chest. It was killing me.
The stress leads him to contemplate a desperate act.
I found myself standing in front of the bank, God forbid, waiting to rob it. I know that once I'm going to do this, my life would be changed forever. I inhaled very deep, and then I did it. I don't have a gun, but she didn't know. Took the money, went out, got on my motorcycle, and fled like hell from the bank.
His first robbery is amateurish and yields little cash. He returns home to his wife, shaken by the experience.
Because I know exactly that what I'm doing is very wrong.
But he's also hooked on the thrill.
You know, to feel high. Okay, you did it, man. Everything is okay. Great, you succeed.
He wanted the adrenaline, he wanted the rush. I decided to rob another bank.
But first, Leibovitz needs to develop his strategy.
Ronnie is a very intelligent and a very meticulous person. He planned things very well.
I love chess, and chess is like a bank robbery. If you can see 20 moves in advance, you are better than the one who can see only 18.
To refine his game, he starts renting apartments near his potential targets and cases them for weeks.
I see how many times an hour the police car will go by, how many people in the bank or going out in any given moment.
His next step is to scope the banks from the inside.
Open an account in order to know exactly the bank security. I did my homework. I also took into consideration what will be my escape routes. I always have more than 2, sometimes 3, even 4 possibilities.
After identifying a suitable target, Leibovitz arms himself.
It was not a gun, it was a cannon, it was a missile. About 12 o'clock, noontime, I took my motorcycle and drove to Tel Aviv.
He then stashes his bike in an alley behind the target bank.
When I saw the time is right, put on my helmet, put on my jacket, And then all I have to do is walk 10 paces or so to the bank. Not a single moment went by that I wasn't afraid, but still I continue anyway.
Inside the bank, Leibovitz gets a nasty surprise.
Suddenly, out of nowhere, came a very big guy. Just draw the gun and shoot the ceiling.
He threatened people. Now everybody is fighting, is lying on their floor.
It was crazy, but was enough for them to understand.
After the teller stuffs his bag with $10,000, Leibovitz flees.
I just took the motorcycle, went into the Beltway, and drove all the way home.
With his MO perfected, Leibovitz now unleashes a robbery spree that takes the country by storm.
I function very well under stress, on the edge all the time, but that's for the purpose of robbing a bank even better.
He developed a better technique of bank robbery.
Soon, everyone is talking about the Motorcycle Bandit.
It was unbelievable. Never before has something been so much in the center of the media, in the TV, in the talk show, and in the news, of course.
People were glued to TV to see who this guy really was and what made him do it.
Of course, my wife didn't know anything.
Emboldened by the public's fascination, Leibovitz intensifies his spree.
Robbing a bank, it's like being with a woman, right? It's like having the night of your life. The more you do it, the more you feel high.
Each successive hit increases the pressure on police to stop him. When they start pulling over hundreds of motorcyclists after every robbery, Leibovitz adapts.
He understood that he had to hide his motorcycle as fast as he could, and he developed a special technique.
Then, after 12 flawless hits, he ups the ante. First, he targets a bank in the north end of Tel Aviv.
The motorcycle, I didn't hide it, I just put it as one more motorcycle in front of a repair shop.
After netting $30,000, he jumps on his bike and heads south.
After 8 minutes, I repeat, 8 minutes, I robbed another bank in the other side of the town.
This second hit nets Leibovitz another $20,000.
It was like craziness.
After he left the branch, he would hide his helmet, his jacket, and the money just in the bushes. And then he went back to the same branch he robbed, just to see the crowd around and enjoy it.
That was Ronnie Rush. That's what he liked so much. Ronnie loved it.
Robbed the bank. 10 minutes afterwards, I'm there with all the detectives and the police officer, and I'm just standing there.
The Motorcycle Bandit is now Israel's hottest media sensation. But his love of the spotlight will soon threaten to bring him down. Israel's most prolific bank robber, Ronnie Leibovitz, is now flush with stolen cash.
He made plans to go to the United States for a week and have a vacation.
But even in the taxi to the airport, he can't resist showing off.
I just told him, listen, would you stop there and wait a minute? I went outside of the cab with the helmet and everything. I went into a bank, robbed it, went back after 35, 40 seconds, came back to the taxi and told the driver, go. He went to the airport. I rent a locker, put the money and the helmet and everything and the gun in the locker, flew to United States, then came back to Israel after 6 days.
Leibovitz then finds an ingenious place to hide the bulk of his loot.
Where is the best place in the world to hide that money? Where? In the same bank that I robbed.
This method assures that any stolen bills marked by the branch will be indistinguishable from the rest of the bank's cash.
All the bills in the same branch are marked the same. So how they will figure out which one is the stolen money?
His lifestyle now depends on the cash flow his robberies provide.
He was living way beyond his means, wearing fancy clothes, always entertaining.
And the media frenzy around him is reaching a fever pitch.
I am sitting amongst my friends and they start to talk about the Motorcycle Bandit.
At that time, he became like a legend, like a hero.
Making fun of the police and making fun of the government.
The public began to admire the robber.
People are driving to a bank waiting for Ronnie to rob the bank.
Men wanted to be him, and women wanted to sleep with him.
Women start to fall in love with the fantasy that he is a hero.
But nobody in the world knows about it. Nobody, not even my wife.
Now, with pressure mounting, the full weight of Israeli law enforcement is brought to bear.
We had almost 300 people working on the case.
They had a police chopper circling in the air.
But Leibovitz continues to strike with impunity.
The police would reach the scenes sometimes minutes after the motorcyclist left. And it became sort of a game between them. It became a game for the public as well. Where is he going to hit today? And are the police going to be able to come fast enough?
The police arrest everyone in sight with motorcycles, without motorcycles, even with cars. They did a fantastic job, but they never caught me.
Desperate, authorities try to turn the Motorcycle Bandit media circus to their advantage.
I was interviewed on TV. I looked directly into the camera, addressing the robber. I told him, no matter what, no matter how, no matter when, I'm going to catch you.
Shaken by the police resolve, Leibovitz confides in his wife.
Couldn't take it anymore, and I told her, the bandit, it's me. She looked at me and looked at me, and she said, like, you're joking, right? She was the closest person in the world to me. If she didn't believe, nobody did.
The Motorcycle Bandit's identity remains a mystery. Then, in October 1990, frustrated police make a hasty arrest.
He was a known criminal. He fit the description, and we thought he was the robber. We soon learned he was the wrong man, but his arrest presented an opportunity to use him as bait to catch the real thief. We had news of his capture broadcast to get the bandit's attention and goad him into striking again.
The plan works. Leibovitz can't resist the media spotlight. He hits the streets looking for a bank to rob. Unaware, he's driving straight into a trap.
We dispatched a large number of undercover forces to watch for him near banks all over Tel Aviv and other areas. Also, we put extra helicopters in the air.
Leibovitz quickly senses something isn't right, but it's too late. Authorities get word of a suspicious-looking motorcyclist.
I gave the order for all forces, all the helicopters to encircle the suspect.
Trying to escape, Leibovitz finds himself boxed in.
And just on the corner, I can see the policeman. He cannot see me. And he's like 5 or 6 meters in front of me, with his back toward me. In a second or two, in a split second, he will turn around and he will see me and he will shoot at me. I know so. I could have drawn my gun, shoot him in the back. It was him, me, and God Almighty. But I'm not a murderer. I cannot murder a guy. I cannot do it. Instead, like a cannonball, you know, race away.
But police on the ground and in the air are immediately in hot pursuit.
He was surprised by the number of officers that converged on him. There was nowhere he could escape to.
Leibovitz heads to the only safe place he can think of, his parents' estate.
Two policemen came from one side of the street, came from the other side of the street, and then came a police patrol car with 4 more policemen.
He understood that the game is over.
When Leibovitz confesses and the media discovers his true identity, they turn on him.
That he isn't a Robin Hood. He's from a wealthy family, and the hero image crashed immediately.
He's no hero. He's a villain. He committed very dangerous crimes.
Ronnie's biggest mistake was that he fell in love with bank robbing, and he did it too often.
For his 22 armed robberies, the Motorcycle Bandit is sentenced to 20 years in prison.
My money, my house, my family, everything was taken away from me.
After paying back every dime he stole and serving 8 years, Leibovitz was released in 1999. He has written a book and now lectures about his life and the lessons he's learned.
What's done is done. I paid dearly for it. Let me go on with my life.